Good evening and welcome to Duckling Bootcamp Lesson 205, the Deep Dungeon. I'm Rax, and I'm here with Saracen, who's going to be doing the run for us. Saracen, how you doing?
Having a decent enough night. How about yourself, Rax?
I'm actually having a pretty good night. The It's school vacation week here, and that means that not me today, but some of us are getting to do fun things with the kids, and it also means the traffic is way better. So I got to cook dinner tonight.
Hot diggity. Well, this is an exciting night because Deep Dungeon is one of those little, I guess, kind of guilty pleasure modes for me. It's nice. I think of them as popcorn seeds in the way that Chaos Rush is popcorn seed. Um, something that you can do pretty quick with the right setting. And that's kind of what I was hoping to show off with this one.
Well, I'm excited too. I don't know if anyone out there in the audience has played roguelikes in the sense of games that are like Rogue, but we're going to be making Final Fantasy Randomizer look a whole lot like Rogue or NetHack or one of those tonight. So it should be fun. Do you want to look at the flags?
That sounds like a good idea.
It does. We've got our goal here, and what we see here basically doesn't mean anything. It's going to be all obviated.
Yep, everything in the goal section is ignored. Well, unless there was an alt final boss, I think, but we're not doing that.
That's true. That would still be there. Difficulty scaling. This looks relatively standard. That's actually a pretty good experience boost.
So the experience boost is kind of essential. And the reason for it, and this is something I was thinking about today as kind of a whoops, maybe I should have done something else, uh, is the progressive scaling really doesn't come into play here. In this particular flag set, there is one key item. And if I see that key item, I'm going to be very disappointed in the seed because it meant that I had to go through a section I didn't want to go through.
That is
Because that
true.
one item is the tail.
They
So the higher experience rate is really essential because we're not going to be seeing that progressive bonus kick in. And that is a huge bonus when you think about your playthrough in other flag sets.
mm, that's a good point because 10% per item would normally really add up, and instead here it's going to be nothing or 10%.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe I should have switched it to orbs, and then I was like, it's too late now.
I do want to point out this overworld encounter rate that's maxed out 15 out of 256. Don't worry about that. You're not going to be on the overworld. It's fine.
Yeah, you're locked in. There's no wandering about. It's one of the little Easter eggs I like to put into the flags.
All right. Oh, and we do have 20% experience chests too, and especially combined with that lack of scaling and how quick you're going to want to go through this, the experience chests I think are a big boon as well.
They are quite helpful.
All right. No
Moving on.
incentivized locations,
Lol.
no incentivized item. Don't worry about
Imagine
it.
having locations. We're not seeing locations here. We're seeing themed proc gen floors. It's great. Um, Game mode and overworld, that's where we're actually going to see the real things. So the game mode is Deep Dungeon. Surprise! Progressive tile sets, what that means is that we're going to see uh, kind of layers. And so you're going to have kind of progressively more end game tile sets as you get towards the bottom of the 52 floor Deep Dungeon. Uh, Fiend Orbs. This is the one flag that determines how many key items are in a deep dungeon seed. If it is off, the answer is four. There will be the TNT, Ruby, and Oxyale as items, and there will be shortcuts available by turning them in to NPCs on the first floor. If you have the flag turned on, like we will for this week, there is only the tail. And the only thing we know about the tail is that it's coming before Bahamut and it's in the 20s. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And you do not have to class change, but you do have the opportunity, assuming you find that tail and Bahamut. But depending on how you play this, you may never see either of these.
So, one of the things that's important to keep in mind when we're thinking about this, and this is going to come up a bit later, the itemization in this has a tendency to throw multiple Masas at you. So, it's kind of whatever. Like, we don't really need to promote because we are likely going to have an endgame weapon that's serviceable. Uh, the really big keys are get to the bottom fast where the good loot is, and make sure that you got spells that you need.
Yeah, because the loot is progressive, right? Like the further deep you are, the better the pool that is randomized from is.
Yeah, and that's part of the treasures and freebies section. We can look at that a little bit closer in a minute here.
None of this
So
matters, right?
yeah, maps and routing. The only things that matter are the 4 flags that are turned on actually do count for something.
Oh, you're right.
So Lefenish hospitality is this is the most important this flag has ever been. There's a clinic in Lefane and an inn, both of those things. Do you know how incredibly important that is? You're going to find out tonight because I am going to find Lefane. Let me tell you what. Um, the shortcut and move Gaia item shop are kind of funny because it helps you get to the level 8 shops faster and to the item shop faster. But one of the things with Deep Dungeon is there's no NPCs. They they just don't exist. Um, so like you're not really walking around a whole lot. If you're going to the clinic in Gaia, you probably had a bad time and you're really glad that it's there, even though it's the clinic of shame. But yeah, these 4 flags, like they are the only ones that matter, um, and that's great. I mean, the Melmondish hospitality and Zozo Melmond can help happen, too.
Yeah.
And I guess shuffle Provoca shops if you're that kind of person. It's a goofy flag that has occasional humor to it. I don't think it belongs everywhere.
Yeah, but it's a fun one to every once in a while catch someone by surprise, especially in a random flag set or a. I mean, you could make this what is it called, tri-state, where it's only sometimes on and have an
Yeah,
adventure every time. Probably not a race thing though.
I think it is funniest in mystery flags, and that's about it. Um, all right, treasures and freebies. This is where the most important 2 things are turned on. The first one is randomized treasures deep dungeon. The chest contents are randomized based on each chest location. Um, the idea is more valuable things are towards the bottom. The deep dungeon mode um, shows that it is indeed the progressive option of the randomized treasure. But with this pool, the way that this is set up, the good stuff can be multiples. And so, yeah, we can see a lot of massas. We can see a ton of ribbons. It's all just going to be, for the most part, concentrated towards the bottom. Uh,
But you're not guaranteed anything, right? I think I've
you're not
seen
really
one of
guaranteed,
these without
no.
a masa.
But one thing that is kind of funny, and it comes up from time to time, is you find yourself low on money, but you've picked up for some reason 5 excals that you can't wield. And you're just like, I'm going to find Gaia and I'm going to sell these things. And then I'm going to buy all that magic I so desperately need. Um, if we go down to the shops and magic, the other important thing to note is that caster and elite gear in shops is turned on. And that can put a lot of great things just in the shops. So keep an eye out. In an ideal world, you don't see a lot of shops. However, it can be very important to recognize what's available and where and how to get to it. It's more important the harder the settings are. We do have Life 1 and Life 2 in battle turned on. That comes up fairly frequently.
I think this power word threshold 600 is very generous too.
So it is. What I will say is that it comes up less often than you think. And really, what it's on for in this flag set is to make spells like Quad X and Stun more viable. The likelihood that it comes up though is still very low. There's a couple very targeted spells that we look for in the course of a deep dungeon.
Yeah. So in general, in a deep dungeon, you're not going to be fighting any fiends, but in this mode, you might fight a fiend in order to do a skip. Well, not like a skip. It's the staircase is right there. You'll see when we start. But I do think the quad X can be viable to get through one of those more easily as well, if you don't have an insta
Right.
kill.
And those skips are very important. They are where the speed happens. Um, Looking on to enemies and formations, there's nothing special here um, at all. The important note is when we look at what do we have as far as bosses, we have the Fiend 1s and we have Chaos. We do not have Warmech, we do not have the Fiend 2s. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about the pool. You're not going to be able to harvest information from the early Fiends or anything like that. Um, you kind of have to just deal with whatever Chaos throws at you.
On the plus side, you only have to defeat chaos at the end.
It's true. Getting to chaos intact is part of the real challenge of these flags sometimes. So um, that really comes down to the position of Lefane in the progression. Um, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to toss it out into the chat. So there is a deep dungeon guide on the wiki, and this is recommended reading. Supplementary reading. I'm going to have a tab of it open while I'm running reading. um, so Lefane can land between floors 44 and 48 inclusive, so a 5-floor range. And the closer it lands to chaos, the better. Because you can guarantee that you have the resources to recharge your spells, though we'll get to that in a little bit as well. You can revive at the clinic. You can get all of your magic, as you've had the most opportunity to take fights along the way. Like Lefane at 48 is the ideal. Finding Lefane at 48 is its own thing too, but it's
Yes.
one of those things to keep in mind as we're looking at uh, our resources going into the chaos fight.
So, one question I wanted to ask about the towns, and I think I know the answer to this, but I bet you know it for sure. When you are in the town, if you save and reset, you
You go
come
back to
back
the
out
surface.
at the overworld, right? Yeah.
You sure do.
So don't use that go to the inn and immediately reset muscle memory. You don't want that here.
Yeah, and actually, worst case scenario, if you're worried about it, go ahead and unbind those keys because spoiler alert, save game when game over is turned on. So resetting is generally only useful if you know you're about to lose against one of the fiends when you're trying to open a shortcut. And if you're doing an attempt to open a shortcut, you were at the first floor anyway. So on to party comp, no surprise, everything's open. However, it is quite the quite the occasion when you see a black belt taken in these flags.
Yeah.
Getting experience on a black belt is very hard. So there has to be a good reason to take one. And there almost is not possible good reason to take one.
Yeah, because normally something like teleport magic would be amazing, but you don't want to exit, and in most circumstances, you're not going to want to warp either.
Warp, I think, has a little bit more utility. And, that's simply because maybe I want to try to find uh, another staircase and I've wandered about, I think I've missed Lefane. I'm at 48. Maybe I just need to go back a couple floors. But that is such a limited use case that you may as well just wipe to something and take the shortcut and go back from 40. So there's yeah, there's just not a lot of cause to take the black belt because we will be fighting chaos at lower levels than typical. Almost guaranteed.
Although the black belt can wield a Masa, so that's. Would a
Uh,
strength bonus be worth it, maybe?
no.
No. That's fair.
So the biggest thing to keep in mind is the way that the HP scales for the black belt versus the fighter or the thief. So the black belt ramps up because of vitality, and
Hmm.
vitality being something that scales up over time, you have kind of a lag to that HP coming online. Whereas the fighter's strong HP growth as a whole thing results in the fighter having higher hit points sooner. And realistically, if I have over 500 hit points on a fighter going into the chaos fight, I'm feeling extremely comfortable in these flags. I am more likely fighting him with like 430 or something like that, where I'm just barely safe enough. Uh, yeah, it's a very tricky balance because there's not a lot of opportunities to get levels and there's a lot of opportunities to get gear. So it really favors the fighter in that regard. The thief less so, but still viable. Um, it's just the thief really needs a vitality bonus straight away to compete with the fighter. And even then, you're like, well, I don't have as many sword options. I'm really waiting on that Masa.
You're taking the thief, if you're taking a thief, to run, though, right? Most likely?
Almost never.
No? Okay.
Not in these flags. And that's actually one of the things that's worth calling out is the party selection. I have thoughts and opinions on it, and we'll see how rapidly that falls apart when I check level one magic. Um,
That makes sense.
Classes and class balance. Nothing really surprising here, except I left Thief lockpicking on as a joke. It's another one of those Easter eggs because there are no locked doors in Deep Dungeon. Um, Equipment and items. This actually has some very important things. Part one turns shelters into ethers.
Oh, that's true. This is the first time for this, right?
I believe so in the course of the boot camp. So, uh, this flag is amazing. I have nothing but praise for this flag. What it does is it says, hey, tents now become ethers, cabins become dry ethers, houses become X ethers. A regular ether restores one charge to each of levels 1 and 2. A dry ether restores to all 1 through 4, so you get one charge of each. X ether gives you one of everything. These are so powerful. Like running into the deep dungeon, you're going to want to have these in part because like if you get heal 3 as a spell or even heal 2, you never buy heal potions. You just buy ethers. Um, Ethers do not restore HP. They only restore spell charges, and they are used like potions. But you can only use them outside of battle. So it is one per character per charge, but you can absolutely slam them like potions in the inventory and be like, well, I need 5 charges back of levels 1 through 4, slamming dry ethers at this black mage. Um, so it actually benefits, strangely, the white mage very much compared to the other mages, because your out of battle healing capacity from these ethers is way higher than in vanilla or
Mm.
in any other randomizer setting. It also makes life magic more viable. It is a strategy. So, like, there's a lot more incentive to a white mage in these flags than there would be in other settings. Um, and especially since the harm flag is still turned on.
Yes.
We are also starting with an AoE caster item. Look for the Bane Sword. Spoiler alert, the Bane Sword is very strong. Um, Everything else, pretty run of the mill here, all the way down, except for save game when game over.
Yep.
All right.
And no beta flags here.
Um, to the question from Sweetie Bit Racing, yes, you can use ethers inside the dungeon. That's why they're good. Um, if that flag is turned on in a regular setting, you could like get to the Bridge of Destiny in a regular seed and slam those ethers and restore all your charges and take a grind there and be like, well, I have all my resources, so why not? So I think that they are one of those tools that disproportionately helps the white mage. It also helps the knight and the ninja a lot. The red mage and the black mage obviously benefit, but the low MP values of the melees and the high out of battle value of the white mage disproportionately see benefit. It's an interesting way to think about that, Franklin. I don't necessarily think of it as a uh, bad news bears for black belts, except that it 100% disables an overworld grind.
Yeah.
So it is in that regard, yes, I'll grant you that.
In this flag set, though, we've done the liberty of disabling the overworld grind for you by disabling the overworld.
Indeed. All right.
All right.
I'm ready to start looking at characters because I haven't really looked at them. Nova World we did last year in the boot camp, and I've tried to make sure that there is specifically one uh, non-standard. I'll go with, not to sound judgmental, but people have a lot of strong feelings about the non-standard modes of play. Um, so 2 years ago we did Proc Gen. Last year we did Nova World, so this year we're getting Deep Dungeon in here. So if you ever wondered how much I think about the curriculum as we're putting together the Duck Boot Camp, there you go.
You've given it a little thought, it's true.
All right. So let's look at some characters. This is a very good fighter. 20 strength, 15 agility is very solid for this flag set. 20 strength is a little bit less than 1 temper 100% of the time, and the agility is just helpful. Thief, pass. Black belt, wall. Uh, this
Oh,
is a
wow.
really, really good red mage. So a call out that is worthwhile here. Resists get rid of the base accuracy of spells that are targeting you. The spell itself has accuracy. So that it's like, I think 148 base accuracy to all spells plus a value on the spell. Um, if you're MDEF, isn't enough to overcome the spell accuracy, your resist doesn't really count for a whole lot. This combination is very strong. Um, I am inclined to take one. Uh,
Hmm.
this is a very good white mage. Pass. I don't care about these blurses. I'm going to go rainbow
Oh,
and
really?
reserve the. I'm going to reserve the right to reset and change party based on magic. Just to throw it out there, earlier today I did a practice. I finished in about 21 minutes. It involved a reroll to go fighter double white black, and it was because the white magic second slot level 1 was fade, and that was enough to propel me through the rest of the seed and get to Lefane, where I got the rest of my magic and all of that jazz. But the value of whatever is in level 1 magic is super high, and that's important to keep in mind.
I do have one question for you here. I sort of thought that you were going to take two fighters, especially with how good they are and how much gear you're going to be getting. Is the magic just too important for that?
Yes, just quite frankly, yes. The magic is the most important part of Deep Dungeon, especially because of the ethers. Um, I think that if we're thinking about a more complex, deep, and harder Deep Dungeon, I am more interested in having the double melee. Um, and yes, the gear is a big part of that. But the other thing is, if you're playing a deep dungeon where the ether flag is not turned on, you have to think about how you're going to get to chaos. And
Mmm.
so double melee helps in that regard. Red mage is passable as melee. I'm not really excited about the idea of a red mage doing melee. Um, but we do what we can. Um, DM Stewart, you are not alone in that particular sentiment. I think there are a lot of people who fall into that same camp. I would say that this is one of the most divisive modes in the community. So, but with that, I think I'm ready to go. We're at half past the hour because this is complicated and there's lots of thoughts.
All right.
So, 3, 2, 1, go. As you can see, we have no people. Uh,
Oh,
Fade is available right away, and garbage.
and so you take a second red because it's in a red learnable slot and you want more
Yep.
access to possible black magic.
And so that's going to pretty likely get me. Did I? Okay. It's likely going to get me what I need in order to at least take one fiend. So I'm going to take Lich first just for levels, assuming Lich is going to be okay.
Well, you are experiencing the fade experience, admittedly, but I suspect you'll still get there.
Forgetting to check my caster item. I have a mage stick. So level 6 across the board is very handy. The money is very handy. But the real prize is spell charges. So it is very common uh, to have a situation where you're not able to kill Tiamat reliably and with only 2 charges on each. And having the extra charges is very nice. There's lots of interesting things there. The most interesting is that opal bracelet, but it's really not enough.
Yeah, I guess if you come back with a ton of money, you could uh, pick them up, but hopefully you won't have to do that.
Yeah, well, um, that tells me some things. I'm actually going to try Kraken because a first skill Blaze is concerning. A first skill Ink is not. And the worst case scenario here is like I don't feel like I have the right tools after taking out this Kraken, and I take a couple floors in the 30 range.
And these stay down, right? So this is just going to be available forever.
Yep.
Excellent. And once you've unlocked that, is there any reason to go to level 10?
Uh, kind of. Uh, oh wait, is there? Yes, there are pures here. Probably want to soft. So the biggest reason to consider going to level 10 is if you were not confident about your magic situation and you wanted to try to pick some stuff up from like Elfland.
That makes sense because Elfland is it 9 to 12? I guess
9
we
to 13 inclusive. So what I'm doing here is I'm focusing on just picking up rooms, right? Like I'm not super concerned about any fights that I get into here. I'm looking to try to like loot some stuff out, get money, uh, see if there's any gear worthwhile. And the answer is yes.
Yeah, this has been pretty impressive.
But if I do get into any fights down here, which I'm surprised I haven't gotten into more already, then I kind of want to evaluate if they're worth taking. A lot of encounters will not be, but you'll notice I'm not going to heal up. I'm planning to die. Um, sure, I'll take a knife. But the idea here is get resources, wipe out, save game when game over kicks on, and I'm back at the start. Now the problem with level 30 and that rough area is it's looking at pretty trash encounters. These are not great. Stone touch, lovely. I'm not going to cure it because it's as good as dead. So with Deep Dungeon, all of the floors are going to be proc gen, and there's a search pattern that you kind of follow with that. The main thing to look at is you always want to look at the bottom of room. And the reason for that is that the uh, the doors will always be on the bottom. And the other thing that you can try to do is scout rooms based on the visibility, because when you go into one room, it takes away the roof of all of them. So you can generally see a little bit adjacent as far as what's available, what makes sense to look at, uh, that sort of thing. Notable so far, I have found a ruse stick and a defense sword, both very valuable finds,
And a
and a
ribbon.
ribbon.
And a stairwell inside a room. That's something I didn't realize the first time I did this. That sometimes stairs will generate inside rooms as well. So you do have to check them.
Yep. Regular ethers, but I have a pile of dry ethers, so I don't really care. Um, I'm not going to bother with anything in there.
Yeah, that's got to be like the least useful town almost, right?
No, Melmond is way less valuable because it does not have an item shop.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense.
So this is one of the tricky types of rooms to look at. Oh, this might be our wipe. No, no, we'll get this one.
Are you concerned at all about not getting enough levels on your fighter?
Not yet. Um, I worry about the fighter a little bit later
Okay.
when when we get closer to chaos. Um, but the value proposition of taking him up right now is not very high compared to I just am waiting to wipe out. And I have the resources now, I think, to take out Tiamat and get through the skip. Notable, if you pause, you get to see what floor you're on, just above the orbs. So we're on floor 34. Uh, is there a free tail? No, but you could set it that way.
Now we do have tail before Bahamut on. So
Yeah,
if you find Bahamut and you haven't found the tail is somewhere before Bahamut. But as
and
Saracen
within the
was,
range of 10 to 30.
yeah, and that's way more than you want to be exploring. I'm guessing.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time. Oh yeah, you can just spend ethers as much as you want. You have 71.
Yeah, I stocked up on the dry ethers because they were very cheap.
Now, do you have any particular pattern that you like to follow looking for stairs in these rooms?
um, so generally, like I said, you kind of want to focus on being at the bottom of rooms, but there is a tendency for if the stair starts at the top left, it's going to have a split down and a split right. Um, the follow-on question, of course, is what is available, you know, on either path. Like, I find that going right on that type of thing works out best. Um, Not where I was expecting that stair to be, but okay.
Yeah, I've also found that going right feels better than going down first when you're in that like upper left in that particular type of room generation. But I had no idea if that vibe was based on anything. Interesting to hear that you have it too.
This is one of the funniest formations you can have in Deep Dungeon, where you get a room and you're forced to take the stairs to walk past the stairs. This red mage is going to have a little bit of meat on his bones when we get ready to go for that Tiamat skip. And 38, we're almost to where Tiamat would drop us off in the first place. So this is a formation that happens all the time, where you get in and there's just a giant hole, and like you just kind of deal. But now we're coming at Tiamat with enough HP, generally speaking, to live through the blaze, and enough spell charges to kind of not care. We really don't care about the sleep that doesn't land. Yeah, save game on game over is turned on for this flag set because I didn't want this to be the terrible experience of I got all my levels on the way to chaos and then suddenly I wiped. Um, so yeah, there's one of those moments of kindness from me.
Well, I don't think I've seen this style without save on game over very often. It can be pretty brutal if you don't have those combined.
I think save game when game over is turned off when this is used in like Fall League, which I think happened once, and then enough people complained that it didn't happen again. Um, but that said, I still think that it is a generally good flag. It creates a very different dilemma when you don't have it on for this, and it obviously increases the value of exit and warp. It really increases the value of life spells. Um, there's so many different angles that get played when you turn off that flag.
That is true. Yeah, I don't think this has been in a tournament since I've been playing. But
I
there's
want to
always
say it was
hope.
probably 2 years ago. Oh, we're getting to the good loot floors. We just saw Vorpal -3.
Yeah, Vorpal
Cough, cough.
-3, maybe not the good loot, but ooh. Yeah, I see you pitching a bunch of stuff at once, and I think, at least for me, I like to do this here. You're opening so many boxes, and you expect the boxes that you're opening later to be better, that you don't necessarily want to save the time by having to go and drop something every time you pick something up the way that you would in a normal seed.
Yeah, it is very easy to lose yourself in inventory management in this mode. And I mean, that wasn't a full purge. And, sometimes that's just the way it is. Uh, it is just a good general idea, though, to throw as much as you can away right away. Just be ready to loot more boxes.
Now, are you looking for a particular level for chaos?
Um, I kind of play by vibes, so I'm not really looking at like level per se. Wow. Okay. Well, we're getting the soft out this time.
Because these later encounters are going to be worth more XP, at least on average, too.
Yeah. I'm gonna check this room here. So one of the considerations that we're looking at is what is our endgame weapon. The Ice +5 is very serviceable if Fast and Temper are both available for the Red Mage. There is no guarantee, of course. Um, the Power Bonk and the Power Bonk and Ruse Sticks that we found are usually enough to propel the fighter to serviceable damage numbers. So it's really about getting like Cure 4 on the White Mage and that sort of thing. Um, and having enough hit points on the fighter to survive the nuke and all of that.
Now, are you also looking at everything here because you're looking for Lefane? Oh no, you're not deep enough yet.
Yeah, I mostly just wanted to check because those rooms were close. I'm looking for Amasa, and if I find Amasa or another ribbon, I pretty much stop looting. Now the good news is I have all the money I'll need for spells.
Now that's for sure. Uh, Thoughts on promoting in these flags? Well, you probably won't have a black belt, so my thought is if you have the tail and you run into Bahamut, great. But if you're doing levels between 10 and 30, that may be a bad sign.
That is 100% the case. I would only be considering promotion if I absolutely had to go through floors 10 through 30. And most of the time, you don't. So, yeah. All right. Here's where we need to start looking to find the two-stair floor.
Now, is there any circumstance in which you would just say, to heck with Lefane, I'm going to finish the dive?
It is not possible with this magic set. I literally have 4 spells total known, and 3 of them are Fade. So I don't have the tools right now.
Ribbon, Power Gauntlet, Ruse Stick. I guess you don't have Fast, and you probably don't have enough max HP at this point anyway.
In an ideal world, I want Fast, Temper, and Cure 4 or Life. All right, so we have not yet seen Lefane. We're going to keep looking for just a little bit here. Oh, man. I had on that practice seat earlier, um, I had Legendary Swords on the fighter, which is one of the most powerful fighter blessings in this flag set. Felt real good. Seems real nice when you see a Katana +4 waving itself in front of your face.
One thing on the rooms that look like this, sometimes you can see from the other area that nothing's there. So, like in that case, I might
Yeah.
have walked further left to see that. It is weird that you can see through it if you're coming from like a. Ooh, there you go. Masa -2? Is that enough better than Ice +5?
It's honestly not. What it is going to do, though, is sit on the white. All right. The opal was a good sign because now I have armor on all of my guys. Yeah, I should be good on looting at this point. I have all the tools now.
Yeah.
That floor seems unlikely to have the second staircase. Just the gist of it. Um,
And just to answer the question in chat, the red mages can wield the Ice +5, so the Masa is not an improvement for them either.
yeah, the Ice +5s are just so strong. Uh, sure, I'm losing out on some attack power and a marginal amount of hit, but they have monstrous crit by comparison to a Masamite. It's getting about time to ether again.
Yeah, and it looks like you're taking fights that are similar to the fights that you would take in a normal run. The sort of things that you would take as you got through them. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is there any special logic to it here?
So I'm generally taking more fights than I would normally take, and that's simply because the experience values here are much lower. Um, than what I would normally be seeing. So I want to have more fights under my belt in order to get the necessary resources. Now, I do have over 400 hit points on the fighter now. That is very comfortable for this. 70 to 150 for the boss skill, right?
I
Sounds
believe so. I'll double check the flags. I have them in a tab still. Yes, 70 to 150.
so that answers Odron's question there. Oh, come on. Just let me get away from this. There we go.
And that made you go so far for nothing.
Yep. I've seen the flags similar to this get finished out at like level 15 sometimes. But I mean, it's kind of like when I put the hidden chaos flags up and you just sort of run into chaos at some point and you're like, oh, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Um, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Um, but every additional level is additional hit points, etc. All right. Well, I guess we are checking that, and we will continue to take Germaduces because they're still good.
The GR stands for Grud.
Yes.
It's a useful mnemonic.
All right. 47. What do we got here?
You got 460 HP on that fighter, right? So you're probably, absent the
Oh
magic
yeah,
you're looking for, you're probably ready to go.
we did it.
Here we are.
Heal 2 is a very strong spell. Nothing of note there.
Cure 4. Not bad.
Yeah,
Fog 2, the real MVP. I don't think this is really a Fog 2 flag set.
I agree. Um, I mean, it's not bad.
No,
It's just not like great.
I think with everyone having ruse items and Inv 2 at level 1, it's just not. What you really want to be doing here.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out when we can throw walls in. They're helpful.
Yeah, because you have 2 ribbons, right?
Yeah. All right. Uh, that concludes all of our interesting stuff. Now it is time to just find stairs and get out of here.
Yeah, and you would take good fights, but at this point, you don't have to take anything.
I mean, anything that I take is ultimately just more ethers I have to pop later.
Mmm, that's true.
So I generally like to check the rights first in this category of room. The open rooms are a little bit weirder. Oh, well, there's the stairs. Now it's the grand trace of how do I get there. This is the answer.
You can see your floor level in the menu.
Yep, right up in the top left.
So we're going to chaos at 26 minutes.
Make sure I've got everything where it needs to be. Okay. We're gonna all white shirt.
And that's just to get a full stack on the fighter as quickly as possible.
Yep. Um, the fighter ultimately we want to have doing anything other than uh, that ruse stick. And so, like, we want to get to the power bonk as soon as possible. Then we want to get to swinging as soon as possible after that. The power bonk is our only damage scaling other than the fast, which will come out while we're continuing bonk up here. Uh, oh, I had life spells on the white mage from the
You just
clean
have
magic.
so much life, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it feels like you're doing a couple of the things here because of the specifics of this, but this is actually pretty. You would behave similarly for a normal chaos, right? Outside of Deep Dungeon?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more defensive in this setup. Um, it's not really a major concern of mine to have as much defense in most flag sets, but knowing that what I'm looking at from here is if I fall off, I have to walk from floor 40. I don't really want to do that. So we're going to take it slow and safe and fade to the walls.
That's a pretty good hit. Not bad. And
And there we are.
GG. 28-25.
Not bad. Um, Slower than I would have liked, but not bad. Having to go through like the 30 to 38 range and loot it out and then wipe out so I could take Tiamat was a lot slower than I wanted to be. But I think it also showed off a little bit more of the proc gen routing choices. The calls coming in already for a second seed. Um, I'm open to it if people want me to do it. These are fast. Uh,
I mean, I'd be happy to hang around for another one and talk through it with you.
okay. Well, let me just generate a new one then.
All right, I will clear out our timer.
Uh, you ever open the blur spoiler and be like, well, here we are.
All the
Download.
time. Is this going to be a fun one?
Uh, well,
I mean, that's
it's an
not
even better
bad.
fighter than before. It's an
Yeah.
even better one. We wanted the run chance. Um, it's this guy right here.
Oh.
Officer, arrest this man.
Oh, wow.
Um, this is just funny. Plus one MP all is kind of useful, kind of whatever. Um, Good thief theoretically, and Lamau.
That, wow, that's.
um, the again, red mages.
Do you think, like, red, white, white, given the nukes? Because you got to get through those. Do you even take 3 whites just to get through Tia?
So I value fast and temper too highly.
Mm.
If I had tavern recruitment on, which we've done in deep dungeon flags before, um, I think that's what we're doing.
Makes sense.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
Not bad.
Yeah, I don't care enough about exit to actually buy it. Hmm. Hmm. This is going to make me work for it, though. Is what I'm seeing. Um,
And the Lich is just for the XP, effectively, right?
Yeah. Um, so realistically, what I want to do is I want to find Provoca and find good magic. Just getting the experience from Lich is worthwhile though. And again, the money, because what I am looking for with the money is the ability to come into this shop and wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Do you even need to find Provoca if you have Xyths?
um so I don't have a good way of getting Tiamat down right now, and that's kind of my goal is I want a
Hmm.
means of getting Tiamat. Um, Provoca is between floors 2 and 6. Here's floor 1. Um, this is a place where you don't loot. Like the looting and the fighting is so bad here that you just don't want to do it at all. And that drives you to find the stairs right away. Do anything you can to just get to the stairs because these encounters are worth nothing. Oh, good. A silver armor. All right. And an XP chest. All right. Okay. I was validated in checking those, but that is the rarest circumstance.
Yeah, that you were rewarded for bad behavior on that one for sure.
Absolutely.
But that does happen.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah.
Um, all right. I am going to continue checking around here just a little bit. And again, this is just, I'm looking to see if I can find the second set of stairs. That's the whole reason I'm looking around here right now.
And that's always an awkward search because you don't know for sure that it exists.
Right. And it didn't. So down we go.
Yeah, I guess there was one room all the way on the right that you didn't check.
It is very doubtful that it was there.
Yeah. No, I would also proceed from here. That's a big room.
Yeah, that's one set of stairs. Provoca is one of these two. It was the other one. Dang it.
Well, you're still getting to it in less than 5 minutes, even with also killing Lich, so that's not bad.
Lich saves time. And when I say that, it's because I'm not losing characters to random stuff. All right, so harm 4 is good as an available sweeper. Um, I want cure 3 as my last. Um, Nuke is fantastic. I love Nuke. It's not always going to be there.
Okay.
There's the money though.
Yeah.
That that's what we need.
So now you actually reset out after saving.
Yep.
First try. Is
You
this
know what
also
I
where you
did?
buy the Xyths?
Uh, I don't have the money to get a lot of those, and I'm realizing now I should have checked the item shop while I was in Provoca. I'm actually going to go back and do that because that
The cheaper
is a really
ones.
well. It's not just that they're cheaper; it's that they're like the X Ethers are great, sure, but they're not like super amazing. Like their cost to value is very bad.
That's fair. And it's not
So
like you have so much money that you can just throw them away and not care.
yeah, and having done the search and found this place, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
um,
that's pretty good. Okay.
yeah, that's why you look for those. Um, 1/1000th the cost. Oh yeah, we'll take that, sure.
Might as well. It is a piece of the puzzle. Now,
That's exactly
is there any chance that this is just the dive already?
could be.
Okay.
So the X ethers are good in the sense that the nuke charges are limited, and that would extend out their availability. But it's the cost is just so high.
And you are gonna want to open boxes here because you're already at level 40, right? The quality is likely to be pretty high.
Yep. So there will be box openings. It's nice knowing that we don't have to look for the power bonk as a thing. The black mage makes it more likely the temper is available to us to take, but it doesn't guarantee much of anything.
No, because you could have fast and temper at level 8, potentially, right? And then you just have to get by.
Yep. I am not looking for promotion in these flags.
Not really any boxes on this floor.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate, but it's okay. We'll find more.
There you go. That's another piece.
The puzzle continues to open to us. White shirt is very handy. We love the Invis 2 cast. We're on 42 right now. Look at all these terrible swords.
Oh, and there's no weapon shop to sell in Lefane, so they don't even help you with that.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Oh, and you have those life twos, so you can just let the mage die, and even if you decide this is the run,
Yep.
yeah.
I have enough dry ethers to make everything work.
Can these
The
levels wrap around?
They do. I was just about to say that. Yeah, they do wrap around. The dungeon map size is 64 by 64 on any map. The overworld is like the one exception. So they absolutely can wrap around.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it, but it makes sense.
Thank you for the call out, Franklin. I forget to equip the power bonk frequently. I get confused between that and Zeus bonk in terms of equipability.
Now, do you say that you're not like walking in front of doors and always walking at the very bottom of rooms? Is that because you actually want the encounters, or just because it's not worth the mental energy of having that be a thing you're thinking about the whole time?
Both of those things. Like I would rather run into an encounter and find out that it's a bad encounter than um, than expend the energy focusing on the door routes. I've got enough things going on in my head right now, just trying to mentally map the floors, that I don't want that to be the thought process yet, or ever really.
Oh, that's a pretty good. Oh, you traded away the. Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh no, you'll have to use your nuke charges.
I could use the harm fours, but I would rather something that can actually crit and then still not crit on two of them. It's okay. We're fine.
Yeah.
It also paid out a lot less than I was hoping.
Yeah, I guess when you see them, you usually have a lot of items or a lot of orbs, whatever the progressive scaling is. And like we talked about, we effectively don't have that here.
Oh yeah, the proc gen loves to do that little trick too, where you don't have enough room to walk through a particular opening.
No, that was a fun one. I wasn't sure if you'd be able to go through it or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, these seem like pretty good encounters, but the experience that you're getting isn't amazing. And I think that is just the lack of scaling.
yep. It's also worth noting that the gold here is still valuable. Like, normally you don't really think about gold in boxes as being an important part of your strategy. Um, Here, it's actually something that we need to keep in mind. Like, buying spells is expensive, and we're not getting a lot of money because we're not taking a ton of encounters. We're taking what's presented to us. And so, not everything is going to be particularly good on that front.
Now, this feels like an interesting decision point to me, whether it's worth healing or not. And it looks like you decided kind of.
I don't necessarily think that healing is like a priority right now because life 2 is the most efficient uh, healing magic I have. Like I could throw out some heal 2s and dry ether back up, but it's not like a priority. Um,
No, that makes
I
sense. Life 2 as a healing option is great.
though now that I have two ribbons, I'm like, maybe it does need to be the priority.
Yeah, the way that I'm thinking about it, and I asked the question because I'm not sure that this is right, is at some point I realized that I don't want to have to come back here. This is like level 46, I want to say, maybe 45 or 47. And it is a fair amount of walking from 40, and it looks like you have almost all of the kit, and will have all of the kit once you get to Lefane. Does that line up with the way that you're thinking?
Sure does. Just doing the last little checks of rooms here. These bad men encounters can go away anytime.
A little early on the life too there.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and you have
Oh yeah,
two power bonks, right?
I do.
Ah,
3 power
three
bonks.
So you could the like all melee strat is probably not worth it. Although if it turns out you can't use temper or fast, I don't know. I would think about it then. Your ability to play without the music is so powerful.
I've been doing it for years.
There's just an expectation in my brain. Probably if I did it some, I would get used to it as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of players get very used to the music cues, and at the very least, the presence of it. You know, like it gets weird for people to not hear it. It for me, it's distracting to hear it.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Glad I walked back for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like step routing with the music or anything in Deep Dungeon. I just have cues like, oh, the battle is over because the end of battle music has played, and I can start thinking differently. Because I'll use the times that attacks are happening or spells are going off to think about what I'm doing, and maybe zone out for a couple seconds planning my next move. I don't know if that's a thing that other folks do too. Uh oh. Okay, we got one of them.
Promo locked. Womp womp. That is unfortunate, but not insurmountable. Yeah, that's the closest we get to music when I'm playing,
Yeah.
right there. And only because I have to wait for the music to finish. I can't just slam reset like I usually do.
Now, are you still opening boxes, or are you just gonna go and take a shot here?
I'm leaning towards just take a shot. Um, I mean, if a box puts itself in my face, sure, but
Feels like the stairs are putting themselves in your face instead.
right? One thing of note here is that I have very little armor. I have two ribbons.
Oh. That's so almost helpful.
Right?
I'm sure it'd be
Yeah,
great if you could
I'm
equip
using
it.
like it would be great. Except, the only thing I care about the only thing I care about is chaos, and so, the moss is just better for that.
Yeah. Because even if you do lose to chaos, you don't have to fight any of the fiends again. You'll just go back down to 40 and dive as quick as you can.
Yep. But that's part of why I'm taking as many encounters as I am here. Like, we're getting healthy levels.
Oh, yeah, 19 feels totally fine for this. Now, last time you didn't move the fighter. Are you still going to leave the fighter in slot 1 here?
Um,
I
I
don't.
think probably slot 2, and also poach this ribbon. Yeah, that about sums that up. And then,
Only the one evasion item this time. Five
yeah,
Warples, though. Yeah,
yeah,
much like that time, last time, you get that white shirt and those Inv 2s to really get that going as quickly as possible. That's already going to be 5 stacks on the fighter this turn. That's great.
yeah. And the black mage is going to move into temper strats from here. The white mages will do one invis two and one heal two. Um, so yeah, we know what we're doing here. Thank you for targeting the correct one, Chaos. That was the one with the ribbon on.
Yeah. Now, will you bother power bunking up the other white mage, or is that just a, like, backup strat if the fighter somehow dies?
I have no interest in bonking up the other white mage, even though it is funny to have a white mage tank out with with a masa, and yeah, not going to do that.
Yeah, it just kind of doesn't seem worth it. That was a big crit. I guess they have no armor.
I mean, crits have a secondary hit that ignores armor as like their big thing, so it doesn't surprise me.
Oh, interesting. Does it not matter at all, or does it just not matter much?
One hit normal, one hit completely ignore your absorb.
Okay. You got to cure that dark status.
Right? Down to my harm fours. And there's the win.
And GG's. Under 23 minutes this time.
Yeah, this one was way kinder once I found the brack.
Yeah, getting through Tia as fast as possible seems like it's really key here.
Yep, absolutely. And understanding the level ranges where you have to search for the second set of stairs, 44 to 48 inclusive, so all five of those floors. That's where Lefane will be. Now, I don't know what's going to happen as far as a seed. I did not vet one to send over for the weekly this time around. We'll see what comes up. But the key factors when we're looking at deep dungeon is we want to get as low into the dungeon as we can as fast as possible. And so that is in these flags, kill Tiamat as fast as possible. Um, Anything that we can do to speed up the process of killing Tia is what we want to do. And if you find level one Brack or level one Bane, or you have the Bane sword right out the gate, you just slam your face into her until she dies. Don't care about anything else. You'll eventually turn order and win. Um, so yeah, that there's my advice.
Awesome. Well, it seems like great advice, and you definitely showed off how to use it here. I appreciate it. I learned some things about this flag set as well. Do you have any questions in chat from the Ducks or any of us who have been around a bit but still have stuff to learn? We'll give folks a minute, but I will point out this is probably a great flag set if you're interested in a VOD review but don't necessarily have the time for a 90-minute run VOD review. I bet you can get one here pretty quick.
The other thing I'll toss out while people are thinking about questions or deciding they don't have any, we do have two important deadlines coming up this weekend. The
Oh,
first
right.
one, relevant to the Ducks, is that signups for the Derby close on Saturday at midnight Eastern. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't registered for the Derby yet, make sure to go into the Derby discussion. There is a form in the pins to sign up for the Derby so that we get you in there. The schedule is all going to be based on, people who sign up, and we put out like a scheduling form. So it's very important. If you want to participate in the Derby, make sure that you get that out there. Odron, no, we are not going to VOD review a solo white mage vanilla ish.
Well, Odron, if you VOD review mine, I could VOD review yours. Mine doesn't
uh,
win, so it's even less exciting. All right,
uh,
yeah.
but definitely hit us out of the park right there. Uh, the other important deadline, we have our summer marathon coming up June 13th through the 15th, I think. The submission deadline, if you want to be a runner in the marathon, is Sunday midnight. So keep that in mind. That is something that you can check out in the marathon discussion. The main thing is you need to record uh, the proposed settings that you're going to run of whatever game. It does not have to be FFR. In fact, we encourage, if you have any other randomizer that you want to show off, that's amazing, because we love having diverse content for the marathon and really show off other communities and build the network, right? So if you want to be part of the marathon, you have to get that submission in by Sunday night. This is also the live on-site marathon in Charleston, West Virginia. So keep that in mind. If you want to be there, you absolutely can do that. I believe we have a very limited window to reserve at the block rate for the hotel rooms as well. So keep that in mind. It is still available to do remote. We're always online, but we're going to have the in-person capacity as well. And yeah, if you're going to be there, everybody's going to look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. I'm hoping to be able to make it, and it's a timely reminder about the hotel block rate, so thank you. Uh, I just want to say for the Ducks, if you're on the fence about playing in the actual tournament, I really encourage you to sign up and give it a shot. If you decide it's not for you, that is totally okay. But you won't get the chance to try it if you don't sign up for it. And we'd love to have you, and we'd love to make it a good experience for you. So if you're on the fence, I encourage you. Obviously, you should do what works for you, but please give it a shot. I think most people who do find it more than worth it.
One of the things that I will say about the Duck Derby, it was my first tournament as well, several years ago. I was part of the gigantic COVID lockdown class back in 2021. So like, yeah, we had like 50 people in our derby.
Oh my god.
The the derby is fantastic because you are racing against other new players, right? You're not going up against people like me who have been around for 4.5 years and have all of that experience under their belt. You're going up against new people. You're going up against people that are a similar skill level, and that is valuable. And let me tell you, when you have not done sync racing, like, asyncs are one thing because, like, you get a little bit frustrated with the timer or whatever. There is a feeling, and it's like overwhelming when you're in Topher and you haven't seen anybody finish yet, and you're just like, am I really gonna win? Like, and you get that adrenaline rush. It kicks in usually for me in a long Topher at Kraken floor. um and it's like, you feel your pulse everywhere, and you get the adrenaline ramp up, and it's amazing. You can't get that feeling all the time. And the boot camp races are an awesome time to feel that. So, highly recommend, get in there, get those races under your belt. If it's not for you, it's not for you. You don't have to finish out the derby just because you took the first race, and didn't like it. That's fine. But it is really the tournament to find out if you like racing.
Yeah, thank you, Danny, for putting the hotel room information in the chat. And Saracen, I couldn't have said it better. It's such a cool feeling to be in that situation. I'm admittedly a somewhat competitive person. I know that not everyone prioritizes that as highly, but if that sounds interesting at all, give it a shot, and hopefully you'll get to experience some of that.
It may surprise you to know that I am actually generally not that kind of competitive person, but I am here.
That makes some sense, but it's always interesting when something brings it out in you. Like that can be really fun. All right, I think with that, it's probably time for us to head off. Thank you so much for checking this out. Do you have any last thoughts, Saracen?
I think I've rambled enough tonight.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. Check out the marathon, whether you're interested in participating or if you just want to watch it, help support the Liam Foundation, our charity. And I hope to see all of y'all soon in one of the upcoming races. Have a good night.